that we've accomplished and everything that you guys did as a team. I can't wait to announce today all of the winners for the first half trip that'll be heading out to October's Cancun trip at the Hard Rock. So many people from D6, and so proud of everything that you guys did. So I want to start off by making sure that we do give a little bit of a round of applause, and I'll pause between because there's so many names here that I don't want to make sure anyone feels left out. But let's first of all put our hands together for your leader who won the trip. Let's make some noise for Mr. Mark Andrews. Absolutely. Doesn't stop there, guys. Also, from the leadership team, let's make some noise for Mr. Dan Swanston. Let's keep this thing going and make some noise for Paige Guy. He's all the way over in Europe, but let's make some noise for Dana Alcock. We also want to keep congratulating the leadership team as we make some noise for Mary Moranin. Keeping with the leadership team, let's give some noise for Darren and Teresa Voldner. Moving over to our reps that are out there killing it, working hard. Let's make some noise for Mr. Al Santos. Make some noise for Darcy Bubbly. We want to congratulate Mr. Grant Finstad. Got to make some noise for Karen Pezderick. We definitely can't forget Anne-Marie Chantel. Make some noise for Maura Cambitz.
Right on, Maura.
And last but not least, let's make some noise for Monica Monroe. Guys, as you hear, I mean, so proud. There was about 100 winners in total for the trip. 13 of which came from D6. So, guys, give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are amazing. It's important to point out that on the last trip, guys, D6 had representation of 2 people. Counted 2 people. And on the next trip, 13 people. So my question for you, is there going to be 20 more on the next trip? Is there going to be 30? Is there going to be 50% representation from D6? Guys, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of everything that you're doing. Wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to congratulate everybody. I just want you to know that, I mean, hard work definitely does pay off. And so we want to continue this momentum. This is another week where there's a great opportunity for us to get ahead. It's an Ardmore week. So, never lose sight of where we can be and what we can accomplish. I mean, with the programs that are out, again, 13 winners from D6. I'm so happy for everybody, so proud of everything that everybody's doing. And this is a week that can be a turning point for everyone within the team. So this week, again, I'm sure Mark's gone through it and talking to you guys about it. There's an opportunity for Ardmore teams, 10 times multipliers, individual credits, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, guys, let's make sure we stay focused, stay the course. We're planned, we're organized, we're effective in everything that we want to do. Because, again, I think this is just the beginning. To go from 2 winners to 13 winners, next trip should be 25 or more. 30 or more, and let's see if we can end up with an entire reserve plane that has to touch down here in Alberta to make sure that we get on these company trips, guys. I'm super excited. Want you to know that I appreciate everything that you do. 7 weeks left in this quarter. This week's all about making sure we get the momentum that we need to finish the quarter off strong, build the momentum for the cycle to be exactly where we need to be, and celebrate on the next company trip as well. So again, congratulations to all of the winners. So proud of you. Guys, let's go out there. Let's continue the momentum going, and let's see if we can double, if not triple, the winners on the next trip. Thanks for all that you do. Anything else that you need, by all means, feel free to reach out, guys. So proud of you.
Thank you very much, Mike. So a huge round of applause. And let's give you guys all a huge round of applause again. Amazing. Thank you, Mike. Again, guys, I mean, it really is a testament. And I know, like, 2 things can go through your head right now. 1, yay, I won, right? And 2, oh, I maybe just missed out. I want you guys know that a lot of other people just missed out. But I just want to even reflect back that, we have some great winners. But I used to be on a previous company, and I didn't hit the trips until I made that decision that I'm going to, give it all out to it, right? And then when you start to do that, it starts to change. So it is just one of those things where sometimes you just miss, but it can drive you more to get on to the next one, guys. And honestly, from going from 2 to 13, means we focused on it. We knew what was going through on those last, you know, and we kept talking about it, guys. I'm like, anything's a possibility, anything's a chance, anything is there. And I mean, you got Maura that jumped on the trip. She just joined the company, jumped on the trip because you took full advantage of that. So give yourself a huge round of applause, Maura, for really jumping on and going through that. And all the winners, guys, it was amazing. And I'm super glad what's going to happen in the future. But now we know how to capitalize on it. And you guys, I think we had 4 or 5 winners in those last 2 categories. You know, the ones where they kind of threw the extra 6 weeks, where most other teams were kind of setting out in the past. They were kind of like, you know, it's summertime. We pushed through, and we actually ended up getting an extra 5 winners out of that. So amazing job, guys. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to cut into a presentation. So we're going to bring Therese up here. She does a phenomenal job. I mean, Carl can contest if you ever sat down with her going through a presentation. She's all heart. She believes in this game, what we're doing here. She believes in D6, the code of honor and everything that we're doing here. And she's on a mission to go out there and get this word out there. So you want to sit down and kind of get into her brain of how she explains things. So get ready to take down notes. There's going to be a lot of nuggets here, guys. So without further ado, let's give Therese Waldner a round of applause. Woo!
Wow. Thanks, everybody. And I do, again, I thank you very much. I want to really give props because over time, I believe what I've done has just grown and increased because almost everybody in this room and on Zoom and in Calgary have added something they've said that I wanted to really incorporate and put into my presentation. But as you remember, we do have that 4-step process and we go through it. We want to lay it out so that the client knows what to expect, knows what's going on as we go through and we do that. And so, of course, you know, we would start out with our story and we'd start out a little bit about who Combined is and what the strengths are, maybe by using the financial statement. That's my favorite thing to show, because for me that really builds up a ton of credibility as we're going through that. But where I really start to kick in is when it comes to that step 2, when I want to now know, I want to talk to them a little bit about the stats that are going on in Canada and the relevance of what we do and why it's so important. And then I want to make sure that I attach it to them. I want to make sure that I make them buy into it and understand how relevant it could really happen to somebody in their lives and really affect people that they know. And so this is where I truly begin my presentation, because I want to get them to buy in right in the very beginning. And I really don't spend a whole lot of time through the presentation part, because I believe this is where they need to buy in. So in here, as I go through these stats, as you guys would see here, even more stats here, I let them know that, you know what, in our lives, someone we care about will fall into these stats. And it may even be us. And with that being said, if we know ahead of time that a member or a friend, a family member or a friend, or even a coworker was heading for a dead end, with no end in sight, wouldn't we want to at least warn them? Like, if they knew ahead of time, and if you knew ahead of time, wouldn't you want to at least warn them that that is around the corner? And that is why most people have come to our team. This is, we have a group of individuals who work within our office that fell in love with what this company can do, but that they could actually add value to lives in a very significant way based on the information I'm about to share with you, because they saw this as an epidemic. They knew that most of the people in their lives were working from paycheck to paycheck, and they fell in love with our products that I'm about to share with you. And they jumped on board so that they could be part of the change and be part of bringing people awareness about what our company does and these very grave statistics to keep people from having such a catastrophic event or having it increased because as a result of an accident or illness, they were not able to actually be in the moment. And it took longer to heal because of the financial constraints that were about that. So I'm part of a team of individuals who fell in love with that. And at the end of this, you know what, as we go through this, in fact, I really want you to think about the people in your support system and the people who are around you that you would like to add value. Maybe you'd like to educate them, because as we're going through this, and you see how you'll be able to take care of your situation and be able to reinforce your foundation, as we're going to talk about here in a moment. I'm sure if we are all living just paycheck to paycheck, even if we wanted to, we wouldn't be able to help the closest ones in our life if something happened to them, right? I mean, if we're barely making it, we probably couldn't help our brother or sister, our mother, our father, or maybe our closest friends if something happened to them with an accident or illness. And so as we go through this information, you know, I really have a philosophy that I'll take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. And this is a great way to be able to share this information, become part of what we call our mission, saving lives. It's a really significant way that you can add to the lives of the people around you. So as that comes up, if you think of somebody and you get excited like we do, and you fall in love with some of the products that I'm about to share with you, I would really love if you could just jot their names down, and at the end, I can show you how we can work together to help protect and save their lives as well. So, and you know, with that being said, you know, let's talk about some of the pitfalls that people experience when it comes to having an accident or an illness. I'm sure that you are pretty surprised that more than 90% of all disability comes in the form of sickness. I know that I was, but in my family, we were affected, if you remember in my story, both by accident and illness and the financial constraints it put on our family. And so we really want to make sure that we have those things in place. So let's talk about some of those pitfalls. You know, a lot of people will talk about how premiums go up when you use it. And a lot of people will say there are lots of exclusions and long waiting periods. Many people really don't like the fact that it doesn't pay the way you expected it to pay. And you went out and put out the income and stuff like that, or you thought you were going to get more, especially if it was a group benefit at work or whatever the case might be. Sometimes we believe the cost is too high, and the claims process would be very complicated. And that's typically the reason why we don't all move forward when we have insurance. But it's also the reason why even myself and most people I know are very jaded and have a judgment against insurance. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this list? Anything maybe that you've experienced or whatever? Let's address that, because you know what? At the end of this, I want to show you how Combined has made sure that they have removed all of the negative aspects of when it comes to personal protection, how we have removed those things so you can feel good moving forward and have that peace of mind knowing that you took the necessary steps to prepare rather than repair when something really terrible does happen. So let's talk a little bit about a financial house. This is where I like to go to the needs analysis, because I want to make sure I'm transferring the information at the exact same time as I'm going through this, because I want to know what you have in place. We're now beginning the foundation of creating or customizing a plan that would work for your family. Let's see the kind of supports you have in place, because there's nothing more relevant than knowing what you have, knowing where your gaps are, and knowing what's available to help you fill those gaps. So let's talk about it. Would it be okay if we talked about your financial house as we went through this demonstration? Excellent. So this is where I've got my needs analysis out. I'm ready to go. So when it comes to building any kind of structure, this is a little bit about that education process that I was telling you that we are all so passionate about. When it comes to building any kind of structure, before you can ever get it off the ground, it is critically important to have a really strong foundation. Would you agree? Right? And so without the foundation being strong, we'll never get this moving. And when it comes to building your financial house, your ability and your time to produce an income is the critical component of this foundation. Now, as we have a very secure foundation, we have a strong income coming in, and we have the time to put towards dedicating there, we start to build our security network. We start to reinforce this foundation. So many of us, you know, if we start to make those purchases and build those things and have those things, we might, if we had a home, we might have things like mortgage insurance. Do you have mortgage insurance? Most times people will say yes, and I'll say, excellent. Could you tell me a little bit how it works? And I allow them to tell me what their mortgage insurance looks like. And if they say they don't know, and I say, wow, let me tell you a little bit about how traditional mortgage insurance works. What happens is you take the same amount, you pay a certain amount for disability and you pay a certain amount for life, that in the event of something happening, that it would cover your mortgage. But you pay the exact same amount at the beginning when your mortgage is high as you do when your mortgage is low. And the crazy thing is, you typically have to be disabled for about anywhere from 120 to 180 days. And you know who the beneficiary is? The bank, not you. That's how traditional mortgage insurance works. Through the course of this presentation, I'm going to share with you guys something really, really exciting, that we can show you a different way that you can use mortgage insurance. Thank you so much. And you can turn it around and you can make it a way to be able to not only insure yourself in case of a disability and have it through your whole entire life as you need it, but have it as a way to pay off your house early. Would you like to be able to pay off your house maybe 5, 10 years early? Well, that's the way that we have a product that will allow you to do that. Would you like a little bit more information on that as we go through this education today? Yeah, hey, right on. You know, another thing we might have is life insurance, and life insurance is super important and we all need to have it. Would you happen to have life insurance in place? Well, you know, I really highly recommend life insurance for so many reasons. And if you don't, you know what, I have somebody in my collaboration, people that I work with in my network that I really trust, that I'd love to refer you to and help you be able to do that. But imagine the messiest house guest you ever had. Imagine them. They come in, they never clean up after themselves, they leave dishes all over the place, they just turn your whole house into an entire crazy mess. And they're only there for 2 weeks. And they leave and you go, oh my God, what happened? Did a tornado just happen? Think about it with a teenager. But imagine your whole entire life is like that. If you leave and you don't have something to take care of your taxes or all the bills that you've acquired, or maybe even pay for your final expenses, what kind of mess did you just leave for your family and the people you care about? So it's super, super important that you do have those places. And like I said, there's someone I can really introduce you to that I trust. Now it comes to car insurance. Just for the privilege to drive, this is legislatively mandated in order for us to do this. I'm going to talk about how we need to mandate some other insurances and should be legally legislated that we should all have as well as we go through this, especially because of how high like the debt ratio here is in Canada. But think about this, car insurance for the privilege to drive. You have it, right? Yeah. Is it collision and PLPD? Can you tell me a little bit about it? Most people will. How often have you used it? And they'll tell me if they have or haven't. What happens when you do use it? Most people say, my premiums go up, I'd rather pay for it, pay for any repairs, I'd rather do that. Oh, so like you pay for that insurance and you hope you never have to use it because you're penalized if you use it? That's kind of bad. So that's kind of a crazy thing, isn't it? So, and then another support system we might have is maybe home or renter's insurance. Do you have that? Can you tell me a little bit about it? Can you tell me if you ever used it? What happens if you do? This is again where people will tell me they're afraid to use these ones because things will go up. But are you happy to have these ones in place in the event that you were ever in a collision? In the event that your home ever burnt to the ground? I had a very good friend whose home burnt to the ground just after Christmas last year. And I can tell you, she never believed, she never hoped she would have to use that. But she was so grateful that it was in place to be able to go back and be able to do that. But when you think about these things, these two here, we put in place in our security system to make sure we never have, hopefully we never have to use them, but isn't it feel good to know that you have them in the event that something happens, right? So those are really good things. And by the way, you know what, I actually, in that network of people that I work with, I really have an amazing person I can refer you to that can help you reduce these costs. I'd really love to hook you up with her. So at the end of today, if you feel good about that, I'd love to be able to see if she can actually save you a little bit of money. Are you open to that? And most people will say yes, okay? So right here, we've gone through this and we've reinforced some things that are really important for people to have in their life. We really want to buy into the importance of everything. And I'll say, well, that's great. Now you've put all of these wonderful structures in place and you're continue to build that financial home. What else do you do with your money? Oh, you put it into savings. Excellent. That's great. So you have savings, you have a credit card and stuff like that, and you want to reduce those things. Perfect. What kinds of things are you saving for? Darlene, what kinds of things do you save for? Vacations, Dan? Renovations? Home time with your baby. Awesome. Those are really, really cool things to save for. I do too. And we know when we start to save and everything's like that, we actually get hopeful that maybe one day we'll hit this, right? We'll hit this. Do you happen to know, Angel, when you'd like to retire? Do you know what age you'd like to retire? In a couple of years? Oh, so you must be investing for the future. You must be investing in this little golden nest egg right now, hey? Do you do that on a monthly basis? Do you put money away for that on a monthly basis? Oh, excellent. So, you know, as we went through these things here, would it be okay if I, you know, just jotted down some numbers so we know what we're looking at here that you need to have in place as we go through life to make sure that your life continues to grow so that your financial house doesn't collapse. So you said you have mortgage insurance. Do you know what you pay for that? About $100 and some odd dollars? Yeah? $1,200 a year? So about $100. Mortgage insurance? Yeah, okay. And how about life insurance? Oh, right, you didn't have that one. But how about car insurance? How much a month do you usually pay for that? $100 a month? Perfect. And your home or your renter's insurance? About $50 a month? Excellent. So, you know, let's add that up. That's about $500 there. Perfect. That's really, really great. Okay, so do you have any other maybe benefits or insurance that I'm not aware about? Do you have any group benefits or anything like that? No group benefits. So that's really, really good. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk about if your time and ability to produce that income disappeared. This is the part that is really that strikes me very odd. And I think probably is because it's the awareness. People don't really know it exists. We take all this time, you're telling me you take about $400 or $500 a month to insure all of these things, correct? And so the beautiful thing is these are things, and these are all replaceable, aren't they? Right? But Angel, if you had an ATM machine and you had a whole bunch of them, you placed them all over the city, would you insure them so that, you know, they couldn't get broken, people couldn't break them, or they couldn't steal them, or you couldn't be robbed? Would you insure all of those ATMs to make sure that they were safe? Well, you're the ATM machine. Shouldn't you be insured in case your ability to produce that income, or maybe your ability to produce that is robbed from you? Yeah. So do you think that you should be worth at least as much as these things are worth? Do you think investing in yourself, the way you invest here to make sure that this is in place so one day you can get here, is equally as important? Yes. Absolutely. That's what I'm here today. Most people don't realize that there is an area that we can put on ourselves so that this thing doesn't happen. Because if we don't have that in place, there's not only these. We have $500 here we're kind of trying to scramble to figure out, but we have a whole bunch of other bills, don't we? Where do you think that money is going to come from to pay for that when that's gone? Where do you think it'll come from? Yeah. And how soon do you think that'll happen? Okay. So the purpose of me being here today really is to educate you so this doesn't happen, so that this doesn't crumble, that all the things and the safety nets you put in place stay in place because you're aware of what this company can do and that you know how to move forward. How does that sound? Do you feel good about that? Yes. Well, you know what? That's the part that I love. That's the part that I have seen. And that's the part we get excited about, is to making sure that we protect this, what we save lives, so this doesn't happen to people. Feels pretty good, hey? Yes. All right, so now that we know and we understand the supports that you have in place, let's prioritize a few things, shall we? Let's see what you currently make on a monthly basis or on a daily basis to know what we have to cover in the event of something happens, okay? So can Angel have that? Perfect. Thanks, Angel. Excellent. So Angel, what do you make in a day approximately when you're at your job?
$340.
$340 a day. Awesome. So if something happens to you and you're out of work for about a week, maybe let's say if you broke your pelvis and you were in the hospital for 6 months and you couldn't work. Do you have a way to be able to cover that? No.
Not really.
But how much a day would you need to cover in order to be able to have your life continue to run out of that $340?
At least 200.
At least 200. At least $200. That's a great number to be able to know. And so when it comes to this illustration, before we go on to the next part, is there anything about this that confuses you? Do you need any more clarity on any of this?
A little bit too much information, but it does make sense.
It does make sense, right? I mean, we're all aware of these. We just don't know that there's another category that we can do. And so basically, the rest of the time here that I want to spend today is educating you on this category that most of us don't know that exists for them, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So now that we have this, and I just want to know, do you have any other people that I should be aware of? Do you have a spouse? Do you have children? Do you have any of those things?
No.
No, perfect. Okay. So, so when it comes to this, what we love to share with people, I know that you're an individual. We like to share with people that, you know what, families can be covered. Do you have family members who maybe have a spouse and children?
Yes.
Absolutely. So as we go through this, I want to show you how we also protect families as well. Because you say, do you have a sister?
Yes.
And does she have children?
No.
Oh, okay. Let's say she does. So
Two.
And do you think if something happened to one of those little babies, where do you think she'd rather be, at work or at home with them?
Oh, she will be at home.
Yeah. But if she's one of the primary breadwinners, it would probably be really important to be able to replace that income, right?
Yes.
Well, I love the fact that this company has also carved that into everything I'm about to share with you. Okay, so let me start by saying that there are several little policies when it comes to combined. They're like Lego blocks. They all kind of work together in these little pieces. And so if you remember Legos growing up, you have bigger pieces, you have little pieces, but all of those together, as they work together, they really could make some pretty unique structures, couldn't they? Did you ever play Legos when you were young?
Still do.
Still do, right? They're awesome. So the thing is, everybody create something completely different. It looks different. We are going to customize this for you, and it's going to look completely different for you than it might look for your sister. Okay?
Interesting.
Okay. And some people might use 2 or 3 of those little Lego blocks, and some may use a lot more. It depends on what they want to have to be able to reinforce that financial foundation that we talked about, okay? So we're going to talk about those. So the first little product that I want to share with you today, I'm going to go through 4 of them really quickly because they're really, they're very, very basic. They're very black and white. As we go through this, you're going to see really how simple they are and how they operate. But as I go through these 4 little things, I want you to think about what that would look like to be able to do yours. And you can choose 1 or more or whatever the case might be. But as I go through them, I really like to know about all the things, knowing that 90% of all disability is sickness. I really think it's ideal if people had both accident and sickness. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so but sad thing is not everybody qualifies for sickness. It really is sad to me that at the end of the day, there is a large population that doesn't qualify for sickness. So we're going to go through a little bit of your information. Let's see if you qualify for sickness and see if we can even put those things through. So I have just a couple of questions that I'm going to ask you, but I love what this company has done. Almost every single policy that we have the exact same qualification questions. So we only have to go through it 1 time, and it's only going to take a couple of minutes. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. This is where I go through and I ask all of the questions, and then I'll ask them their height, I'll ask them their age, and I'll ask them their weight. I've put this all into my program as I'm doing this, as we're going through it, and I've got it on my one side, I've got the other on the other side, and I typically have a piece of paper and I've written down what some of their expenses are and what they're paying towards their car, their house, their different things like that, so it's visible for them. Okay, so this is, again, this is a quality appointment, guys. This is not a sizzle. This is not a 5-minute presentation. This is sitting down and you're having a quality appointment with people, okay? So I just want to make sure that we have that. So, so we've gone through these. I've got that. And then I might say, congratulations, you qualify for, and I say everything, either accident or I say both. You have the opportunity to be able to take care of and be able to have both sets of things I'm about to share with you. Okay, so that's great. Again, that's wonderful because not everybody always qualifies for all of those. So as you can see here, we're going to go through some of the really amazing things, and you're going to see as we go through each of the policies that a lot of these things stay the same, but they cover just different little gaps. Okay, they cover a lot of the exact same recreational activities like car, bus, taxi, anything that you might be in or doing, and they cover the same kinds of things, everything from appendicitis to asthma, all the way up to cancer, heart attack, stroke, and all of those things. All of the things I'm about to share with you today. All of them work 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. And all of them pay cash directly to you, not to a bank, not to your car, not to your house. They pay cash directly to you over and above WCB, over and above all other government programs, all above EI, Alberta Healthcare, all of those support systems that we have in place. All of the programs I'm going to share with you today all have this component.
Wow.
Where they differ is maybe in that little bit of a benefits section, and we'll go through each one of those independently as we go through this. In this particular one, this covers hospitalization, and we're going to talk about how you can actually have up to $9,000 even just for being in the hospital. There are 5 components to this program as we go through it. And all of them pay at the exact same time. So there are 5 of them here. The first one is about confinement. And confinement means your time in the hospital. I want to share with you as we go through this today that it ranges anywhere from 75 to 300. But for the purpose of this, we've got 3 illustrations shown. But if you ever wanted to choose something in between these, there is additional amounts available to you. Again, we're going to customize this to really make it look important. And earlier you told me it would kind of be a little bit important to have at least $200 coming in a day in the event of something happening. I'm going to show you how you can take access to that a little bit later on as well. Okay. So this is if you spent 1 day in the hospital. What we constitute is hospitals are busy nowadays, 20 hours in the hospital. And the clock starts the minute that the band goes on your wrist. So you spend 1 day in the hospital for something, whether it be the form of an accident or an illness. Those are two separate plans, but they're identical, okay? So you can access one or both plans as we go through this at the end, and we'll talk about that at the end. But it'll cover you for up to 365 days for the exact same illness. So unlimited incidents, unlimited claims, but 365 days per incident. Does that make sense?
It sounds a lot.
It sounds like a lot, right? So let's talk about that $200 a day. Wouldn't that feel good to know that you spent a day in the hospital away from work, but you still had $200 coming in that day to be able to cover the bills that you had while you were in the hospital?
Yes, it would be great.
Yeah, it would be helpful. It would allow you to just be there and not be freaking out worrying about, I got to get back to work. How am I going to make up for this? Doesn't that feel better to know?
Yeah, less stressful.
Yeah, it's less stressful. And you know what, Uncle? I know that the job that you're in, it's really a very dangerous job. And there are a lot of people who get critically injured on your work, in your work, aren't there?
Yes, all the time. Fourth or fifth.
Even deaths happen at work, don't they?
Yes.
Yes, it's a very high risk job. So imagine if it was a little bit more intense. We're going to give not only up to $300 a day here, depending on which plan that you chose, but we're going to increase that by another $1,200 a day. And you know why they do this?
Per day?
A day. What I love about this is if you're in ICU, what tends to happen? More family want to be around, don't they?
Yes.
There might be hotels involved. There might be meals. There might be parking. There might be all of these things. If you were to be in ICU, would you love to have the opportunity to have family being able to be there?
That would be nice.
Yeah.
You need someone.
That provides for that, doesn't it? I love this component. In addition to that, whether you stay or not, so that's the first part of it. This is the second. Whether you stay or not, our company is going to, and if you took the ambulance to a hospital, and I highly recommend it, especially if you've been injured, not driving yourself to the hospital, or even if you're really, really sick. A friend of mine, it was really scary a few years ago. He started to lose the feeling in his fingers and it just went through his whole entire body. But he actually drove himself to the hospital, and by the time he got there, he couldn't even feel his feet. Can you imagine?
Wow.
You know why he did that? He didn't want to have to pay for this. He knew he didn't have it in the budget, and he put his life at risk. But the beautiful thing is even if it's covered any other way, we're still going to reimburse for that ambulance.
Wow.
Okay, so those are the first three components. Any questions about these three? This one says you're in the hospital 20 hours or more. This means your care increased, and this is how you got there. We're going to reimburse for. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, then we have the next two. This is my absolute most favorite part of this plan. And the reason for that is there were so many times in my career as a rehabilitation practitioner that so many people left the hospital too early. Do you know why, Angel?
Probably the hospitals are full.
Not just that. They got worried about how they were going to pay their bills. So they went back to work early. They didn't have that $200 in place that gave them peace of mind every single day. So they signed themselves out of work and they went back to work early. But here's the other thing. If you spent 3 days in the hospital, that doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to go back to work, but you have to, because you have bills to pay, right? True. Right? Because even though you're not working and your money's not coming, the bills don't stop working and don't stop coming in, do they? No. And that's what people happen. So my favorite part of this is, even if you spend 1 day in the hospital, our company is going to give you 10 days of recovery from whatever took you to the hospital in the very first place. This allows you the dignity and respect to heal. And we don't care where you choose to do that. Maybe you want to go to work and you might want to do lighter things, but maybe you want to stay at home, or maybe you want to put it away to be able to have some form of rehabilitation later on and be able to have a trip, maybe go to Mexico. Okay? We're going to give you a minimum of 10 days at the exact same rate as if you were in the hospital.
Wow.
So here's a quick little illustration that shows you that, but I'm going to show you an example here in a minute. And maybe I'm going to ask you to maybe give me an example of maybe of where something that may have happened to yourself or somebody that you care about. The last thing from that, this requires, it's about being outside. We know we live in a world of treat and release. Hospitals are overfull, they're overrun, they want to treat you, release you, get you going on your way, even though you are not able to go back to work or do any of those things, and you're not well enough or you're not feeling well enough. What our company has done is they understand that. So they want to build in something. So if you happen to fracture yourself or require stitches of any kind or have some outpatient surgery, what they're going to do is give you up to 14 days as if you were in the hospital. So imagine you had this plan, and let's just say you broke your hand. What our company would do is, because that's going to take longer than 2 weeks to heal, would you agree?
For sure.
Absolutely. And most doctors would say that, wouldn't they? Well, this would
Yes.
result in a $4,200 payout. Now, that might not be enough to cover everything in your life, but it's probably enough to be able to cover your bills, right?
Yes.
And that's for having that broken hand. And that's a tax-free benefit. Would that give you some peace of mind as well, too?
That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I'm going to show you a little example here of what that could look like. So we're going to use that top dollar amount. And I'm going to show you that 1 day in the hospital is $300 plus 10 days of recovery is an automatic payout of $3,300 for 1 day in the hospital.
Wow. I never got paid that much for 1 day.
Yeah. Doesn't that make you feel good to know that that safety net is in place? Doesn't that make you feel good about a company who does that for people?
Yes, almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah. You know what? That's what I thought. I would actually was so sad that I didn't know about this earlier on in my life, because there's so many times my family could have used this kind of peace of mind. How about 7 days in the hospital? Well, at that same $300, $2,100 plus up to 21 days of recovery. Right there, put that together. That's an $8,400 for hospitalization.
Wow.
Okay. Does that keep your financial structure in place?
It would for sure.
I think this company exceeds on every expectation and gives people so much dignity and respect to really be able to recover from any kind of hospitalization. I really love what this company does. And again, that's a tax-free benefit to you. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some of the exclusions or some of the benefits that, again, are going to be the same in every single one of these policies I'm going to share with you, so I'm not going to spend much time on them. They're going to pay directly to you. That good or great?
That's great.
Awesome. Pay you a minimum of 10 days recovery for 1 day in the hospital. Pretty awesome. Starts paying the very first day. No waiting period.
That's one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, no kidding. And guess what? We're going to guarantee that to you until you're 85 years old. How does that feel?
Wow,
Do
so
you
it
think
goes
between
past
now-
the retirement age.
Yeah, right? Between now and 85, do you think you might be hospitalized a couple times?
It can happen anytime.
It could happen anytime.
It happened before.
It happened before. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
I twist pretty bad my ankle, like a 2nd degree twist.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my full foot and up to the knee and a case.
And a cast. Oh,
In
wow.
a cast, yeah.
Yeah, wow, amazing. That's crazy. And were you stressed out? Did that cause problems with your bills?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
It took a while to recover.
Yeah, I bet. Well, isn't that great that you don't have to worry about that anymore? Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that, but I'm also going to share with you how when at the end of today, I'm going to show you how your family can benefit. We're going to go through individual things here for you, but your sister that you're talking about, we're going to show you how she can be able to have the exact same benefit paid and what it would come for them. So again, these are really important things. Okay, so it's really simple how every single one of these plans are going to work. If you have an accident coverage, which covers all of those amazing things, if you have only accident, we aren't going to cover you for a sickness. So you end up with appendicitis and you go in the hospital, we aren't going to cover you. Got it?
It makes sense.
Okay. And sickness, we're not going to cover you for an accident. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you can see why it would be important for you to have both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to cover you for a war or active war, declared or undeclared, either situation. Or here's the beautiful thing. In the last 12 months, remember as we went through those things, you might have had other things happen to you in the back of your mind. You might have been thinking as I went through those questions with you in the beginning that happened to you. Well, anything that happened to you in the last 12 months, anything, if you had bronchitis or any of those things and it put you in the hospital, we're just not going to cover you for the next 2 years for that one little thing, but we're going to cover you for everything else. It's kind of like your house is on fire, or sorry, your kitchen's on fire, but we're going to cover the whole entire house. But because you had a fire in your kitchen before we got this, we're not going to pay for your kitchen.
It makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And of course, intentionally self-inflicted, we aren't going to pay for that. Or, and so these are really, really important things, or normal pregnancy. Okay.
Okay.
Which isn't a concern of yours, is it?
Nope.
Nothing I need to know about. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So do you remember how this plan works? Does this feel good? Did you have any other questions about how this particular plan works?
You mentioned 24/7. Does that mean I'm covered when I'm not at work?
Absolutely not at work. Do you participate in any sports?
Soccer, tennis.
Yeah. Those things. You have injuries happen during those, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to cover you even if it happens during all of that.
Nice.
Doesn't that make you feel good that maybe you can play on the weekend and not have to worry about not being able to go to work?
That's great.
Absolutely. So this is the second little Lego block we're going to go over here today.
Okay.
So this is Lego block number 2. Lego block number 2 is a very small Lego block, but I love it because it actually helps put all of the puzzle pieces together. So again, exact same things. Everything is the exact same thing here, except for this one is going to give you 4 incidents a year, and it's going to be a lump sum payout for when something happens. But this one, we're going to focus on recuperation, recovery, all of the things that you would need to have in place to get better from an accident or an illness, okay? And some of the things that it covers would be things like getting sutures because of, you know, anything or any kind of outpatient surgery. But this is my favorite part about this on the sickness part. It covers the pacemaker, which is today is an in and out surgery. Can you believe it? You're in and out same day.
Yeah.
Crazy. Or maybe scoping. There isn't anyone alive that's going to get out without being scoped sometime in their life, right? Or cataract surgery or skin grafts or things like that. Those are all the kinds of things that are in the form of day surgery today. We're going to give you a lump sum payout when that happens.
Wow.
Okay. So there are 3 little components to this plan. 3 little components, and I just love them. And they work so well with that other plan. But let's say you had an outpatient surgery, we're going to pay you up to $1,000. Imagine going in the hospital because you need to be scoped. You're going to have to be intubated, like they're going to have to put you to sleep to make that happen. We're going to give you $1,000 for that day.
Wow.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Right on. Or let's say you were at work and you cut your hand really good and you needed stitches. We're going to give you $1,000 for those stitches as well.
For stitches only.
Yeah. Pretty good, hey?
Interesting.
All right. Now, would you agree that sometimes if we're sick, if we're injured, we're going to need to start gaining our strength back?
Yes.
Well, the company is actually going to give you money towards your ability to recuperate. So up to $40 per visit, 20 visits per incident, $40 per visit for things like physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, anything like that. Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that the average cost for physical therapy nowadays, which used to be covered by our Alberta healthcare, isn't anymore, is about $100 a visit?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
expensive.
Do you know that's why so many people do not go and get the care and get the treatment and rehabilitate? Do you know it's so important to keep what we have, because when we don't have it, we surely do miss it. And as we get older, if we never recuperated properly,
True.
would that allow you the ability to be able to go and take that on?
Will help.
Yeah, it sure would help. And then, you know what? When you had your boot, well, there's usually a cost for crutches and a cost for a rental of a wheelchair or any of those things. We're actually going to reimburse up to $200 for those kinds of things. So you can see how this covers those other things, because you're not in the hospital like the other one was, but they also work on top of each other. So if you had that outpatient surgery, you could be covered in that other one, but this one here covers these main things. Any questions on any of these?
Not yet.
Perfect. All right, again, exact same thing as I shared with you before. So we're not going to go through it. They just show it to you in a side-by-side check thing.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. And then finally, this little one. All of these three that I'm sharing with you now all have a family plan attached to it. It's pretty exciting, hey?
Yeah.
This one here, again, has 4 components. And the beautiful thing on this one is these are more catastrophic occurrences. Those other ones can be large, but they also can be very small. This is something catastrophic. So in the event that you were in an accident or somebody you cared about was in an accident, we'd pay what they call a common carrier. So anything that you're paying fare for, like a bus, train, boat, ferry, any of those things, airplane, we would double the payout in the event of the accident happening at that time. So up to $400,000. This one is all other accidental causes, okay, $200,000. So it would either be this one or this one would be paid out.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, dismemberment. We see children as child amputees. We see so many people lose limbs, right? We're going to pay up to $100,000 for a single limb, or up to $200,000 for multiple limbs. Okay,
Wow.
so this is more of a catastrophic thing happening. And in your job, those things happen, don't they? People lose limbs, don't they? Absolutely. So that's kind of on top of those other things. So they all kind of work together and they blend together. And the final one has to do with having an income. But this is that one that I was telling you a little bit about, that if you have this one in place, there is one of the options that will allow you to pay off your house years early. Are you excited to learn about that one?
Yes, I was waiting for it.
I'm sure. Again, you've seen this before, haven't you? Same thing, same
just
things.
Different color.
Payout, same exact things we cover, all of those things. But this one will pay you up to $2,000 a month. Okay, cover those main bills, no matter what it is that you're doing, whether you're that, and it'll pay for not only full disability, but partial disability. Let me explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
So the very first one, before I get into how this pays out, I like to talk a little bit about one of my favorite parts of this. It's called a loyalty program. Do you have any loyalty cards? Like air miles and things like that?
Yes.
Yeah, we love that, right? Well, they've built in a loyalty program here too. Every year that you remain a customer on this policy, we're going to add an additional month of benefit absolutely free.
Wow.
Okay, so it starts out your first year, you've got 6 months. The second year, you've got 7 months. The third year, you have 8 months. So it starts out as a short-term disability, but it moves all the way to a long-term disability, because on the 18th year of your loyalty and keeping your plan in place to know that your financial structure is secure, we're going to give you 24 months of benefit.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the 3 ways this will pay out. 1, you're either totally disabled, and in year 1, there's 6 months, we're going to pay you up to $2,000 a month for each and every one of those months, as long as you're under the care of a physician and you're unable to perform each of your substantial duties. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Then we also have in this one we have a partial disability. So even in your first month, if say you injured yourself really bad, like sprained your ankle really, really bad and you couldn't walk and you couldn't work, we're still going to pay you up to that $2,000 for that very first month of just partial disability.
Wow.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So no waiting period.
Yeah. And then the third one is a return to work program. So from full disability, we're going to pay you 50% of the amount as you go back to work on light duties and things like that. Pretty cool?
Yeah, so
Makes
I will
sense?
still make money even when I'm working.
Well, it's there for you as a crutch, right? Because you may not be able to go back to all of those duties. We want to make sure you still have some positive cash flow while you try. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. The fourth benefit is an option. You could choose it or not. And this is the option that will allow you to pay off your house years early. Do you remember how I told you how your other mortgage insurance works?
Yes.
Okay. In that other one, you pay the same amount for a whole bunch of coverage at the beginning and at the end, right?
Yes.
And who's the beneficiary?
The bank.
The bank. You got that right. So this one here, you're going to pay the same amount at the beginning, but it's going to be for the same amount of benefit. What's going to grow is the length of your benefit, right?
Yes.
Okay. But let's say isn't it kind of neat to know that one way or another, this is 100% guaranteed or 50% guaranteed, your choice if you want. What this is, say you want this benefit 100% guaranteed, we're either going to pay it out to you in the form of benefits or we're going to pay it out to you in cash. In 20 years, every single dollar that you put in, you're either going to get back as cash or in the form of benefit. So what I mean by that is, let's say over time, you spent $20,000 or sorry, $50,000 in your premiums. Okay?
Yes.
We're going to do that. But over those 20 years, let's say you claimed 3 times on partial disability, so you got $6,000 that we paid you. Okay. What we're going to do, because you have that 100% return of premium, we're going to pay out the rest of that to you in a cash benefit 20 years from now. So if I gave you 20 years from now disability insurance for the whole 20 years and you use part of it, I'm going to give you $44,000, and you can put it as a lump sum payment down on your mortgage to cut years off of your mortgage.
Wow.
How does that sound?
Great.
Pretty amazing, hey?
It's a big number.
Yeah. So you see how that differs from traditional mortgage insurance?
Definitely. I can definitely see it, yeah.
And think of the interest rate you can cut off your mortgage by paying it off early.
That's true.
Absolutely. So as we go through this, what I want to do really quickly before we get into what the investment would be to have this kind of security system in place to reinforce your financial, I want to just review to make sure you know them all really well. So in the first one, we covered confinement, right?
Yes. 5
components: time in the hospital, days in intensive care, ambulance, recovery, and everything else like that. Do you remember the numbers that I shared with you on this one?
A little bit, yeah. I know it's 300 per day.
Yeah, right. And at minimum of 10 days, right?
Yeah, minimum of 10 days.
Perfect. So that one is that one. And then from there, we went into the one that covered in that little space, right? The little glue, the little Lego block that covered those incidents that happen throughout the year.
Yeah, I remember it's the one that paid for stitches. That's amazing.
That's pretty awesome, right? And then this one, the catastrophic event.
That's sad, yeah. Yeah.
Right? All of those are really important to have to reinforce your foundation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And then the fourth one.
The mortgage saver.
Mortgage saver, absolutely. Being able to do that. Wonderful. So as we went through the illustration, I just automatically populated. You got pretty excited about the $300 thing. So this is when I would go into because I already, by the way, I should go back. When I started talking about these, I also open up the quote and app. Okay, so I've got that on my thing. I've got the quote and app going on, and now I'm selecting as I'm reviewing with them. at the review page. I'm saying the things, what did you like? Was this one important to you? Did you like how this one worked? Is this one going to be part of that? And ideally, what would you like to have? Okay, so this one here is the big, just, you know, the big pie in the sky. If you're going to do it, you're a single guy and whatever. Here's a really cool thing. You'll be able to get all of that coverage we talked about, and you would be able to, over time, receive either a minimum of $115,000 in benefit or cash back to you in 20 years. Will that help you pay off your mortgage real quick? Wouldn't that feel good to go lump sum and go whap?
True.
Pretty exciting, wouldn't it be?
Yes.
Excellent. And earlier I talked about your family.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
And as we go through here and we look here, and they took not any of that mortgage saving thing, because that doesn't take a family. That's not a family plan. But let's say they selected $150 a day. That's what this was. Can you imagine that every person in that family for only $77 a month could have $150 a day for coverage for accident or sickness, $1,000 for those outpatient things, and to be able to have that life insurance in the event that something happens?
Wow.
You know what? My favorite part about having this accidental death as a family plan, it's not about getting rich if something happened to one of your kids, but to give you the dignity and respect and the time to bereave the loss of your child. So to not only pay for those final expenses, but to be able to have that time to get over it. That's what I really love for that. And can you imagine, for $32, a family of 5 could be covered at $200,000?
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So are there any questions?
When can we start it?
All right.
Great, Teresa.
So we'll just do a couple, any quick questions, just to ask her really, really quickly before you get into the video, and then we'll come back and we'll get some shares.
Oh, I don't need that.
Any quick question at all? On Zoom or in Calgary? All right, so we'll move on to the video, but then afterwards, you hold your shares for what, and little things, little nuggets that you've picked up from Teresa's presentation here. So just, we're gonna hit play on this video. It's just a quick one here. It's a little bit more from Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's kind of I'm a little bit of a fan of his, so to say at least. So we'll just play this video again, guys. It's just another outlook on what he's doing. So we'll get Teresa to back up after, or for some of the shares, guys. But she do a fantastic job. Let's give her a huge round of applause again. Again, a fantastic quality presentation. Some of those nuggets, guys. I mean, we're gonna have to talk